Okay, we're over here at gotomath.com. Click on the algebra. Let's go down to absolute value inequalities. And I believe we're going to be looking at something here. 7.1, I believe. 7.1. Whoa, we got a less than value here. So whatever this is, it's gonna, whatever x is, it'll have to be between 0 and that number. Right? Think about it. And it's pointing to the left. Okay. So that's going to be an and, isn't it? Not an or, but an and. So 15x minus 25 is less than 5. Okay. So finally, something a little different than what we've been doing. We have the absolute value of 15x minus 25 less than 5. Right, so we want to drop the absolute value bars. We've got 15x minus 25 is less than 5, and then remember this is going to be an and. Because it's pointing, think of this as the head of an arrow and it's pointing that way. Okay, so we have dropping the absolute value bars, we have 15x minus 25, flipping the inequality and making that negative. Okay, so let's look at this one here first. So we have 15x. Now take the 25 to the other side, so it becomes plus 25. Whoa, I left out the x there. So that becomes 15x is less than 30, right? And so we have x is less than 30 over 15, and of course we want to reduce that down as much as possible, and that looks like x is going to be less than 2. X is less than 2. Okay, now let's take a look at this one here. So we have 15x is greater than negative 5 plus 25. Take that 25 to the right, makes it positive 25. Now let's simplify that down, and that just becomes 20. And so now we have x is greater than 20 over 15. X is greater than 20 over 15. And of course that will reduce down because 5 goes into both 20 over, or goes into both 20 and 15. And so we have x is greater than 4/3. X is greater than 4/3. So now let's go over here, draw a number line, and let's see what we got. Well, I'm going to plot 2 here on the number line, and let's actually use blue. And of course, look at here. We use an open circle, and we'll do this up here on the top. So that's everything to the left of 2, everything to the left of 2. Now what is 4/3? Well, 4/3 is less than 2, right? Obviously, it's 1.33. Let's go ahead and just put 0 here on the number line so we know where we're at. So let's see, this would be a 1 right here. So I don't know, 1 point, let's just say right here. Try to get it to scale as possible. And this is greater than, so we're going to put an open circle, and it's everything going off, we'll put it up here, everything going off in this direction. Okay. But here's the deal. The deal is when you pick a value, okay, now remember this is an and right here. When you pick a value, it has to satisfy both this and this. In other words, you pick a number, 1.75, let's say. We pick some number in here. It's got to be true for this guy. It's got to be greater or less than 2, and it must be greater than 4/3. See that? So, okay, we can't pick something like, for example, 0. 0 might be less than 2, but 0 is not greater than 4/3, right? And if we went up here actually and looked at that, for example, if you plug 0 in right here, what are you going to get? well, you're going to get negative 25, but the absolute value of negative 25 is 25. But 25 is not less than 5, so you can see that right there. Okay, so we're using and means it must satisfy both this and this. Okay, so that means that we're going to be saying, now we're going to be using a parentheses because we got open circles here. All right, so we're going to be saying 4/3 and 2. In other words, that's going to be your solution set. Okay, numbers that are inside of this interval here, which represents this guy right here. Okay, see that? So it's important, right, to know the difference between and or. And or. So think of and, right, for this guy right here. This is the less than symbol. You see that? And remember, or was for when the inequality pointed in this direction, and it could be that there, right, or this. But in this case, it's just the less than. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Something a little different this time. We'll move now between 4/3 and hit it. 4/3 and 2. There you go. Okay, not that bad. All right. So what are we doing? We're over here at gotomath.com practicing our absolute value inequalities, and I'll see you there.